Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Gate 7 International. I'm your co-host Costa. I'm joined by Martial at Olympiakos France, and Kostas Lianos is back. Welcome, guys. How are you doing? Costa, start with you. It's been a long time.
Well, great to be with you guys. I missed you tremendously. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. How long has it been? Been putting out a lot of fires and currently putting together a big Ethniki exclusive, so watch this space.
Ade. Martial, ça va? How are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. Better than the under 19 of Ethniki at the Euro, unfortunately.
Both of you chatting about the Ethniki. We're here to talk about Olympiakos. And what a couple of days it has been. Particularly on the basketball end, we'll talk about that a little bit. We've got a few things to talk about, guys, today on the menu. First of all, a first taste of Olympiacos 2023-24 season under Diego Martinez. We finally had the first friendly of the season against Slovakia, team that finished fifth in the Czech Republic, and they won the cup last season. They were also in the group stages of the UEFA Conference League. We, of course, have transfers that are imminent. Vicente Iborra and Queenie as
Kini.
Queenie.
Met ons eens tegenaan.
Queenie. As you said
Kini,
earlier
Kini.
before we started, at least it's
There it
better than
is.
Pipa. It's better than Pipa.
Ah, he's going full on. Yeah, well, Queenie's better than Pipa. That is true.
Too good not to share that one. And so people chiming in already. Lagis Gavalas is back. It says Marshall looks always to be in a detention room at school.
I don't get that. Why does he look like he's in detention? I don't get that.
It's my main door.
It just looks like a school door, like the wooden door with a white panel on it. And look at my eyes. DC's got some jokes. Is on time as always. Yes, sir. You know it. And I see Zach V, another loyal follower. Please comments about Slou-cash. You mean Slou-cash? Okay. Okay, guys. Obviously, I'm more the basketball guy in this discussion, at least. So I'm going to give my thoughts on it. Anything positive that this guy may have offered our team, the 6 years that he played with us, for me, it's gone. It's completely erased from my mind. And you know what? It's not so much the fact that he's gone to Panathinaikos, it's the fact that he signed with that guy, Thrylos. That's more to me than him signing with Panathinaikos. He went, he shook the hand of that guy who, among other things, swore to Spanoulis that he hoped he'd get cancer and that his family would die. So that's really the thing that gets me the most. How he can be so spiteful to go there, and whether or not it's true that he gets 3.3 million a season. Do you know what, guys? He's 33 years old, going 34. When Spanoulis joined, he was 28. He was in his peak years. Slou-cash is on the decline. For me, I know it's easy to say this now, but Slou-cash is one of the main reasons we lost in the final two. All the free throws that he missed, he never misses a free throw. And a lot of things kind of explain themselves. His attitude when we lifted the cup at Sef, some of his comments. He didn't want to sing, celebrate with the team on video. He was going kind of hiding away. So I don't know. You could also speculate that he's probably made an agreement before even going to talk to the owners, where he stayed and talked to them for 4 hours. It's not the first time that he would have done something like that. The previous time in 2015, when was it that he left he'd already agreed with Obradovic, and he went to the meeting with the owners, essentially told them, I'm leaving. And now he's kind of, I don't know, wised up a little bit compared to 2015 and tried to play the actor, put on a good act. Anyway, it's done, guys. Olympiakos moves on. I know a lot of people are upset today because there's all stories going around about Panathinaikos going in for Mirotic as well, supposedly offering 4 million euro a season compared to our 3 million for 2 seasons. Guys, all I want to say is that the last 2 seasons, obviously, we've got to the Final Four, playing the basketball that we've played with the budget that we have. We've built something strong. There's a strong organization. There's, players that are being improving year on year. Shaq McKissick really being, for me, one of the best examples of a player that's improved leaps and bounds over the last 2 seasons. He's improved his shot so much last season. I'm sure he'll keep getting better and better. And not only, I have faith in the organization, the coach, the management, everyone that's there, that we can bounce back. Even if we've lost Vezenkov, we've lost Slou-cash, we will find a way. So don't let people get into your heads. That's exactly what Dragis is trying to do now as well. He's just trying to get media to come out and cover stories about players that we're going in for, and he's trying to get us to turn on the owners, the manager. Olympiakos is strong when we're all united. It's the same for basketball as it is for football. Basketball, we are absolutely dominant right now. So don't let them get into your head is what I want to say. And last thing I'll say, because I want to bring the other guys in and talk some football, is that in basketball, it really counts having a team that's played together for more than 2 seasons. It counts, we have to rebuild because we've lost 2 players and we need to replace essentially 2 players. Panathinaikos is rebuilding a whole new team. They've brought in a very good coach, but their task is much more difficult than ours because the players have never played with each other. Some of them maybe not even met each other before. Okay, so calm down. We're all upset with what happened, but again, don't let them get into your head. I'm just going to see if there's any comments. Can we stop talking about the traitor? He will regret it for the rest of his miserable life. That's another thing, man. I don't know how the guy. So Matt Derbyshire wrote us a message, and he was like, "I don't know how the guy can make that decision." And we were going back and forth, and we were saying, how is he and his family going to go out south side of Athens? Forget about it for me. Like, so.
And of course, we're saying leave them alone on the streets. Nobody bothers Lucas or his family or anything, obviously.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you for clarifying, just in case that was necessary. But we know what
it was. It was. We're obviously against this stuff, but it's good to say it as well.
No, it's ridiculous, but we know what Greece is like. The temperament and fan violence. It's a big problem, and the way that it's fueled. The media, they pour fuel on the fire. It doesn't take a lot. So of course not. Do we have anything else on this topic? Is this a Slou-cash group therapy session? If yes, I'd like to say it feels like having taken your ex back after she left you, only for her to leave you again for the guy you hate the most. Anyway, let's wrap it up.
It is pressure. Pressure is on him though, because he needs to succeed now at Panathinaikos. It's not up to Olympiakos to succeed now. He needs to do a Spanoulis and take Panathinaikos back on top. How old is he? Remind me.
33, going 34.
That's not young. That's not young at all. Like if he wants to succeed, he's going to have to do it in the next 2 years. And like you said, he's going to be with a team that don't even know each other right now. And now they have to beat a very strong Olympiakos that came just a whisker away from winning their 4th European title. So pressure is on him, really.
Anyway, he made his choice. He's gone. he's done. As I said right at the beginning, for me, I'm kind of sorry to say it, but everything's gone for me in my head. Like I like him as a player. I like the fact that he could take the ball and he could take over the game in the fourth quarter. Finished, done. Anyway, moving on. Let's move on from Slou-cash. I don't want to talk about him anymore or give him any more value than we already have. So let's talk football. So yesterday was the first friendly of the season against Slovakia. As I said, a team that played in the Conference League last season, they won the cup in the Czech Republic, and it's a 2-1 victory. What do you make of it, Marshall? After the game, how are you feeling from what we saw?
Well, I wasn't able to watch it because I was working, but at least when I saw the lineup, I knew it was going to be a productive friendly. Because when you compare to the first friendly we had like last season, I think Lavros sent us the lineup of that friendly with Christensen as a goalkeeper, Avram playing as a center back. The team was like really in a really bad shape, unlike yesterday, because we do have less friendlies this summer, and I do believe every one of them will be more useful for the team that every single friendly we have had last summer. And I've seen things, because I've watched highlights. I've seen things that please me. The Fortunis Bill connection, El Arabi that looks to be able to run again, and players like Carvalho playing, Pepe, even Zinkernagel. So it was what I was expecting, and it's good to start with a victory, with the brace from the only striker we have until now. And we just need to avoid injuries, like especially Fortunis needs to avoid being injured, because I wonder when is the last time he played a full preseason for Olympiakos, including summer qualifiers. I don't know the answer. Yeah. Has to be 3 years, maybe.
Well, I mean, 2 seasons it's been that he's got ACL. What was it? The season before
it was
last?
cruciate ligament rupture. It started in 2019, and he got it again 2 years later, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and then last season he didn't play. He didn't train with the team because he was training with the Bulldozers, because Pedro Martins decided to leave him out. Yeah. So I mean, look, guys, I watched the friendly on replay last night, and it's funny you mention, actually another funny thing today, this day last year, we played AZ Alkmaar in the Prova Generale before the game against Haifa, and we won that game 1-0 at home, and we all know what followed after that. But I think I said this to all of you guys earlier today. After watching the friendly, I made an immediate comparison with the friendlies last year. And last year you were watching the friendlies and it just looked like a bunch of dead bodies running around, or not even running around, that they weren't playing together, they weren't clicking, they were trying to press, maybe have a half chance on a counter-attack. But we were all hoping that it would all click and fall into place when the qualifier started, and it never did. And anyway, last season turned out the way it did. But going into this one, everyone's thinking, okay, what's the formation going to be? And everyone's curious to see how Diego Martinez is going to set up his team. And let's just remind ourselves. So Zolaki started in goal, Rodine at right back, Oleg Reabchuk at left back, and Useni Bar and Andreas Doi at centre back. Then in the middle, you had Bukhalakis, Carvalho, Fortunis, Vrusai, Biel, and up front, El Arabi. So this unorthodox formation where Carvalho was almost operating as an 8, like a central midfielder. And essentially there are three speaking points that I want to touch on. One, first of all, Zolakis. I don't think it's a given that Paskalakis is going to take the number one this season.
Yeah.
I'm going to say early now, 9th of July, because that kid is not a kid anymore. He looks to have started off this season right where he left off, where he had that string of games in the playoffs at the end of last season when Paskalakis got injured. He made a great save about 8 minutes into the game where the ball's gone over the top on the right-hand side and Rodinei has made a bad touch. The attacker's through on goal and he's made a good save. And then on the 20th minute, he's clawed out, I think it was a header from the top corner with his left hand, which if it wasn't a friendly, if it was an official game, people would be raving about that save for a very long time. So that's one thing that stuck with me from the game. The second thing is Biel. And I'm getting ready for Lagis Gavalas to come after me now. Biel started the game on the right-hand side. That's on paper as a right winger. But following the game, you saw him many times really coming inside, close, playing really close to El Arabi and getting the opportunity to operate in those more central areas. And it led to an assist for the second goal, I think it was. And many a time we saw him playing some through balls, some even one-touch through balls to the attackers, to the wingers. Something we hadn't really seen last season from him. And again, I stress, on paper, it looked like he was starting on the right-hand side, but he really was operating a lot in the center and leaving the entire wing to Rodinei during yesterday's game. So that's interesting. And third point, Andreas Doi playing centre-back for 45 minutes and playing defensive midfielder for the second half. This is a topic that we talked about on the last two shows. Where is he going to play? Where is he going to be deployed by the new manager? So there we go. We see that the manager wants to see him in both positions, both as a centre-back and as a defensive midfielder as well. Jonas Madsen, didn't Biel make assist for both goals?
One. Fortunis was the other one. Fortunis was the other
Bravo.
one. Biel was the one. Yeah, Biel was one. The first one, I think.
I think, yeah, it was the second one was Fortunis through ball. He cut it through the defense, and then Biel was the.
It was a good assist because he had bad balance. He wasn't balanced when he did.
Καλησπέρα και σε αυτούς που μας ακούνε από την Ελλάδα. Thanks guys for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, guys, hit the like button. Help this episode get out to more Olympiakos fans. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hit the bell so that you're notified whenever we go live or whenever there's a new video up. Ari is working on deep dives, guys. We have 2 signings coming in imminently. That's why Ari's not with us tonight. He's working on the Ibora and the Kini deep dives. So hit the bell at the bottom when the deep dives are available. You'll learn about them first, and you can go and check those out. Guys, anything more about the game yesterday itself before we talk transfers?
Well, go ahead, Marcel.
No, go ahead.
No, I just think that basically this is a game that with a lineup we're almost definitely not going to see this season. I was talking to Gaspoyet, the Greek manager, the other day about Chelsea and how nobody, not even Mauricio Pochettino, knows how Chelsea's lineup is going to look next season. I believe the same goes for Olympiakos. I don't think anyone really knows how we're going to line up next season, let alone Diego Martinez, the new manager. He's just using what he had. The win looks good considering that Slovatsko were more prepared than Olympiakos, were more advanced than Olympiakos. But then again, friendlies to me, the scoreline on friendlies doesn't mean anything to me because I remember back in 2006,
Don't
we
talk
were
about Blackburn or Werder Bremen. Who was it?
Blackburn, Werder Bremen, and who was the other one? Sociedad or Celta or Zaragoza? One of those three. Olympiacos were absolutely pummeling them in the friendly games. They were scoring like 4 or 5 goals, and everybody in Greece were thinking, "My God, this team is going to kick ass." And then the Champions League came around, and we got Roma, Valencia, and Shakhtar Donetsk, a pretty dandy group considering we avoided Chelsea and Barcelona on the same group. And Olympiakos finished last without a single victory. So yeah, scorelines to me don't mean a lot. It's all about what you see. It's good to see El Arabi returning to goals. It's good to see that he scored a brace. I was listening to you guys last week where you said you predicted, and I see why you predicted it, that Olympiakos are not going to make any additions until the qualifier with Servette or Genk. But I disagree. The first game is on August 5. It's in a month's time. I mean, there's definitely, and we're already making an addition. Iborra is coming in. Kini apparently is not far behind. But Olympiacos will still need to have a center back. They're still going to need to have a winger. They're still going to need to have a center forward. So yeah, it's good that Olympiacos kicked things off with a win. It's good that they put together a good performance. But so far, it doesn't mean much. We have a long, long way ahead of us this preseason.
I wanted to say that the fact we're not aiming for Champions League kind of changed the summer for the club, because I've seen like Panathinaikos playing the fifth friendly already, and it's very different when you have to give time, give reason to every player of the squad, because the task to go to Champions League is way bigger than going to Europa League. We're not going to play teams like Slovakia during qualifiers, but teams like Servette, for example, they quite come close, teams like that, because they weren't champions on their league. And the quality of Olympiakos itself, the player we have currently, it's just a matter of readiness. Right? Last summer, we all remember, as Costa said, like it was dead body on the pitch. El Arabi not even able to claim the ball between defenders, like not even to mention the sitter he missed. But even with Bill Fortunis at 80%, I'm pretty sure that the offensive quality will be superior from the first opponent we play, even especially if it's Servette. It's just my opinion, but the friendly will be very different. I think we're gonna see more interesting things in friendlies, even if friendly, as you said, Costa, doesn't mean anything.
As long as you get the right messages, the right info. But then again, I mean, we're not going to see El Arabi spearheading the attack this season. We're not going to see Joao Carvalho in midfield, let alone a number 8. I mean, we'll be shocked if we see that this season. So I feel like we've got a long, long way to go in this preseason. This friendly showed very, very little in regards to what we can expect from Olympiakos this coming season.
I mean, maybe there's a couple of things I'll add. You always like to see your team come out strong in a game, right? And honestly, the first 5 minutes of the game, Olympiakos came out the blocks really, really well. Dominant in possession, everything that you expect from a team that has a Spanish manager in terms of possession football, building up from the back, not holding onto the ball too long, pass and move, like good movement off the ball, and some actions down the left hand side where Marshall, I mentioned it earlier, Fortunis, Biel and El Arabi linking up at the speed of light, flicks and very intricate passing and movement, and you thought, bloody hell, like where did this come from? But again, like I hate to go back to last season. These guys, they didn't train together during preseason last season. Biel came when the season had already started, like end of August. But he played in the second game against the Onikos, second game of the league. So he wasn't with us for preseason. Fortunis, as we said, didn't train at all in preseason, and El Arabi was, how El Arabi was last year. And again, last summer, guys, we had friendlies every 2-3 days with a heavy training session before the friendly, and now we have one friendly a week, and we have until the 10th of August. Like Marshall said, Panathinaikos has less time. They've played a lot of friendlies in quick succession. It's a different kind of setting for them, but I feel like there's a lot of talent in the squad, but because of the way that last season went, people are really kind of just suspect of a lot of players. A lot of you are asking me or asking us, how was Pepe? Did Zinchenko play? How did he look? Guys, Zinc and Pepe played about 20-25 minutes max, so I don't think it's correct to make a judgment based on a 25-minute appearance. I could tell you, I thought, Pepe didn't get many touches. I thought his body language was shit. but I have heard that Diego Martinez does like Pepe, and in fact tried to sign him when he was at Granada. So he will have had a good look at him and his games and appearances at Cartagena while he was there last season in Segunda. That's probably one of the main reasons why he's been taken to preseason camp in Austria. So we shouldn't write him off immediately. And Zinchenko, we'll see, guys. At the moment, for me, he's our most sellable asset. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Because we need to make sales, Costa. The reason why, I think one of the reasons why we haven't made signings is because we need to sell first. We need to sell players first. I think there could well be a FFP, financial fair play, implications here as we're speaking. So, what do you guys think? Do you think he's our most sellable asset? Is that a fair statement about Zinchenko?
Yes and no. I would say yes, because it is the most valuable asset from the actual squad that is in Austria. I think the most valuable has to be probably Madi, even if it costs less than the prime Madi. But yes, Zinchenko is the most valuable asset because he can offer both solution to play during the summer and to be sold maybe at the middle of it or at the end of it, like for 3-4 million. Looks like an easy sell, I would say. But I wonder if the club that wants him are reluctant to pay a fee for him. Like, they will have to, but Turkish clubs, they don't pay for transfers like that. That's my only fear for him.
That's exactly it. But what we hear is that there are a lot of clubs that want him. Trabzonspor is the one that's most keen, but they don't want to pay a penny. They want him on loan, and we're not giving him out on loan again. From what I've been hearing, Nick Filipakos tuning in says Cordon is cooking. The best is yet to come. Pame Thrylara from Nick Filipakos.
I have a question. Is the Fortunis not being called up to the Ethniki? Can it be the X factor to Olympiakos' good run in the summer? Because he would have come later with the team, like days later, and with a player like him, like coming back from 2 big knee injuries. Every day he's with the team, probably one day one to the schedule or their fitness level. I don't know if it's clear, but I think the fact he came at the very beginning of the summer preparation has to be a major turnover for the club.
Costa, I feel like you're going to have something interesting to say about that.
No, I mean we've discussed those things. Gaspoy has explained why, or tried to explain why he didn't call him up. He says he doesn't he doesn't fit into his he didn't fit against France and the Republic of Ireland. But that doesn't mean he's completely done. I suppose. I mean, if Bakasetas gets injured, I suppose Fortounis gets called up, and he might still get called up, especially if we see Fortounis playing in a different manner under Diego Martinez, like for example down the right in a 4-3-3 formation, or if he kicks ass this coming season as a number 10, or again just down the wing or false nine. He's done it before as a false nine. Maybe that'll change the balance. But yeah, of course, when you have a player you know you're not going to sell, like Kostas Fortounis, it's not bad when they don't play for their national teams. It's bad when you want to sell him because his stock goes down. That means that if someone wants to buy him, they're going to pay under his actual value because they're going to say he's not even an international. But yeah, I mean, for now, this can only be good for Olympiakos because Kostas Fortounis is going to play a huge role this coming season if he remains healthy.
I think him being left out of the Ethniki is pretty much a blessing for us for the reasons you said, Martial. So, you know, I would say even he should retire from the Ethniki and dedicate only his time to Olympiakos. Why not? I mean, even the president of EPO has come out and said that Poyet's decision to leave him out was justified. So I don't know if he also uses that as fuel for motivation, guys, to try and get back into the Ethniki, or I don't know. But I think
no, that was not motivation for Fortounis. That was something else. Those words were something else. They were not. I don't think I'm not too sure how the EPO president feels about Fortounis, but it didn't feel like motivation.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's go back to the comments and we'll slowly kind of get into the transfers with Ibora and Queenie or Kini.
This is done now. This is finished. It started here, boys.
Zach V says, I think it's too early for us to make statements, create opinions, and criticize the team.
Way early.
Everything being said from the start is always good. I personally worry about being late with transfers. This is a little bit what we talked about last week. Do you really need transfers, like key transfers, to beat Servette? I think at least we're all kind of jumping the gun a little bit, thinking that Servette is absolutely 100% going to be the team that we play. But Genk is a better team than Servette. We play the loser of that pair. So let's assume it's Servette, just for the record. So that's the conversation that we had last season. And if, you know, even with El Arabi, I'm not saying, guys, but I think that there is enough talent even in this squad to get past Servette. And I think it's very, very difficult for us as a club right now to operate on the market and make good signings at a good price. And that also has to do with how we performed last season, which any player that's being talked to, that's considering coming to the club, is going to look at how things went last year and see 4 managers, 55, however many players we used, probably not first choice for a lot of the quality players that we want to go after. And there's a reason why Cordon said in his press conference that we need to be patient and the good opportunities come towards the end of the transfer window. And this is a nice segue into the discussion about Ibora and Kini, the 2 players that are coming from Spain, because there's been a massive kind of freak out from a lot of Olympiacos fans. Oh, we got rid of Jan and Villar 33 because we want to reduce the average age. Now we're signing a 35-year-old. We're signing a 33-year-old wing back. What's going on? Everyone's starting to get a little bit angsty with these first 2 signings. Not ideal. I agree, but we have already let go of Envila. We've let go of Socrates. Valbuena's not coming back. So we've gotten rid of a couple of like the more experienced players. You still need to bring some experience in. Who wants to talk about Iborra? Marshall, I know you've got some interesting points on this guy. Tell us a bit about him. What do you think this signing's about?
First of all, the guy has a very solid resume. We've known since last season that the resume doesn't mean the player will be good for Olympiakos, but at the same time, it looks like the guy that have been a key solution for many teams, good teams over a huge number of seasons. He's won like 4 Europa League, and I think it matters because Europa League is the reality of Olympiakos right now. Like, of course, Marcelo had won like 5 Champions League before, but we're not aiming to even claim 1 win in the Champions League group stage. So Europa League players is what we need, and I don't think it will replace Mvila. It will most likely replace Bukhalakis, Kasami, Samaseku, and I think is an upgrade compared to the 3 players. And maybe what we needed, I feel like we needed last season, like more aggressivity, more vice in the midfield during big games, especially because we've seen like Mvila and Huang playing next to Mvila playing next to Huang wasn't the solution against Ike, for example, against Panathinaikos during derbies. So maybe Iborra is here to fill the gap. We have in the squad. And for Queenie, it's the same because we all remember who played as a right back when it wasn't Rodinei. First of all was Versalco, and it's done for football. Then it was probably Retsos for a few games. We had Androutsos, Vruzai, and all of them aren't really right back. So when you build a squad, you have to have rotation players, but rotation players that played at their main position. And even Queenie, it does not impress me. It does not amaze me to see a player like that signing for Olympiakos because it looks like someone that would have gone to Asteras maybe or Tromitos. But if Martinez knows how to use him, then why not? He won't complain not playing. He won't complain. He won't ask for a big salary. Probably will sign 1-year contract. It's a low risk transfer. Like no one expects something from Kinney.
Guys, also, I'll say it again. Do not expect high-profile transfers without having made sales first. Is not happening. The signings that a lot of you want will happen after the game against Servette. If and a lot will depend on which competition we lock ourselves into, I feel, whether it's Conference League, whether it's Europa League. One of you asked earlier, what are the kind of teams that we might play if we qualify for Europa League group stage? Don't forget, we're not
playoffs. They meant the playoffs.
No, playoffs. But first of all, like you guys got to remember as well, we're not a pot 1 team anymore. If we do make it into group, but playoffs, I remember like Ajax was one name. I remember.
Well, it's a very complicated system now in terms of the playoff draw. But yeah, you're right. We could face a very difficult opponent like Ajax, PSV Eindhoven, Antwerp, Union Saint-Gilloise, or Dynamo Kiev, or we could face an easier opponent like Lask, or Batska Topola, or Tsukaritski. It's a very complicated system this season. So yeah, it could get tough at the playoffs.
No, doesn't sound too easy. And there's Mitis with a comment here. It says, zero enthusiasm around Iborra and Kinney, and above all, Marcus Andre. The first two can fill a function, but Andre, to be honest, feels pointless. But we have to let Gordon work, and it's of course a long summer. It's early. I will say one thing about Iborra, because I did actually sit a couple of hours and watch a bit of tape on the Y Scout. One thing that really stuck with me watching him is his length. Like, the guy is 190 meters tall. It's like 6'3" for you North Americans watching us. He's awfully quick for a guy that tall and at that age. And when he sticks his leg out, he very often finds the ball. So he's very good at intercepting. He's very good at counter pressing the ball. We talked about how Diego Martinez likes his teams to play, and we started to see elements of that in the friendly with the press beginning in the corners. He likes his teams to press on the sides to force errors on the wings and then counter very quickly. And he likes his defensive midfielder, the one that sits in front of the back four, to press the opponents like high in the midfield around the semicircle. And this is the kind of player that does that very well. He comes out of that position in front of the back four, and he will press the opponent and use his length to get a leg or a foot to the ball by any means possible. You see him intercepting the ball like with his thigh or with his knee or whatever. He's very combative in midfield. And some of you have talked already in the comments about his aggression, his experience. The guy's a 4-time Europa League winner with Villarreal, with Seville.
3 times. Pretty sure it's 3.
Check. It's 4. I think it's 3 with Seville and 1 with Villarreal. But I'm not gonna be 100% about it. It's 4.
3 with Seville and 1 with Villarreal.
Yeah. I'm seeing 3 here.
Anywho.
No, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I stand corrected.
So I think this is a signing. I think we all agree on this. This is a signing for the qualifiers. Both the players that are coming in tomorrow, Iborra and Kini, they're both confirmed flying to Athens tomorrow. They're both players that Cordon and Martinez know. Any foreign coach that comes to Greece is normal, particularly in this kind of situation. They're going to want players that they trust, that they know, that they have confidence in, that can come in and do a job immediately. Iborra was playing football up until a couple of weeks ago. I mean, they were playing competitive football. Levante was playing against, was it Alaves for the promotion spot to La Liga. And they lost 1-0 in extra time in the second leg. So he's coming off the end of a season. His fitness is probably good. So he's a player that can have an immediate impact. The other one, Kini, we said he's a replacement player, a player that can play as a backup to Rodinei on the right, can play on the left if needed. He's not somebody that's coming in for a first team spot, and I think Iborra is not coming in to be a first team player to play 42, 43 games like he did last season, or to replace Yann Villa. He's not like, I saw some press today in Greece that he is the Yann Villa replacement. Nothing like Yann Villa playing style. His range is not at all the same player, guys, and he's not going to play as many games as Yann did last season. When we move further into the transfer window, I'm sure that there will be another player that we bring into the midfield. Same goes for Marcos Andre. People aren't over the moon about him potentially coming, but it's another one that's going to be a loan, guys. Iborra's, it's not clear. Nobody said whether it's a transfer, but I'm pretty sure it's a loan. He has 1 year left on his contract with Villarreal. He was on loan to Levante just now, Villarreal is paying him a contract of 1.75 million a season, and they split that almost 50-50 last season. Can you see us giving him that kind of money? I don't think so. And I've also heard that he wants to actually finish his career at Levante. So his signing, go.
It's when you play Football Manager and you go on the players that are available on loan, and you tick the box about the player that are willing to come to your club on loan. Like, it's an easy signing because he knows Cordon and probably look eager to play with Martinez, and maybe it's a step back to a more old school signing, but maybe we got used to the fact that the number 6 with Madi, when he came, should have been able to win ball, press, tackle, shoot, pass, and do everything a midfielder could do. But sometimes having a number 6 that can be a good number 6, but not an 8, not an 10, is the solution we need. I mean, old school number 6 that puts aggressivity in the midfield. Because Samasiku maybe would have done quite this job last season if he had played more games, but he couldn't play because the coach had to play Henvila and Huang back-to-back games. So maybe the Henvila's departure opens the door to a different midfield with more rotation, different profile. Of course, Iborra can't pass the ball like Henvila, but I mean, he played like 600 games, pro games at 35. I think it says it all. And I've seen the comments about Marcelo that came having won 5 Champions League, but it doesn't. I mean, Olympiakos won't win the Champions League probably ever, and we're not aiming to win the competition. So the experience Marcelo and James got in Champions League was useless for the club, to my eyes, compared to Iborra, because Iborra knows how to win a competition in which you're not the favorite, in which you have to be good from the very beginning to the end, to create a group, to create a dynamic. And I'm sure that this experience will be useful for the club. Because I do believe Olympiakos can make something interesting in Europa League, if not in Conference League.
Well, I mean, first of all, all I basically know about Servette comes from Labros. Labros is the one who says that Servette are crap. So if Olympiacos do another Maccabi Haifa this season, we all know who to blame for all of that. I refuse to underestimate anyone after what happened last season at Maccabi. We need to remember Maccabi Haifa handed Olympiacos their most embarrassing loss ever at the New Karaiskaki. Most embarrassing loss in Europe since 2003 when we lost 7-0 to Juventus in Turin. From then on, Olympiakos are not going to make signings for Servette. If they make signings before Servette, they're going to make it for the playoffs. Because those signings, it's one thing to bring them before the playoffs. It's another thing for them to be ready to play in the playoffs, where Olympiakos could face a very difficult opponent. Like we said, it could be Ajax, for example. From then on, I've been dying to say this on the show. Antonio Cordon is a luxury for Olympiakos. Yes, he's not Monkey. Yes, he's not Siki Bagiristain. Yes, he's not Edu Gaspar. But he is a fucking good technical director. And Olympiacos are paying him a lot of money because he deserves all that money. That guy built Villarreal into what we know they are today. He sent them to second place in La Liga. He took them to the semifinals of the Champions League. He took them to a Europa League trophy. This guy is legit right now. And I know for a fact that he is number 2 at Olympiacos, only behind Vangelis Marinakis. Bring out all the names you know at Olympiakos' hierarchy. Every single name other than Vangelis Marinakis. They're all below Antonio Cordon. Every name. No exceptions. Cordon is number 2. And he runs the transfer business. How do we know he runs the transfer business? None of us even heard of Iborra coming to Olympiacos before the deal was basically sealed. Cordon wants everything to be done backstage. He wants everything to be done in the down low. Very few people know what's going on this season in terms of signings. And that's a good thing because that means that people are listening to Cordon. People are letting Cordon run things right now. Olympiakos have lost two and a half of their best players from last season. Bakambu is gone and Villa is gone. Serhi Kanos is gone, who was our best winger in my opinion by a mile. Olympiakos will need to make some important signings before Servet. Like I said, you need a center back, you need a winger, you need a center forward. We're not going to go with El Arabi up front. We're not going to go with Carvalho in midfield. We're not going to go with Ba at center back right now. And I spoke with Panos Kostopoulos today, a freelance Greek journalist in Spain who works for Marca. And I asked him about all of our signings and targets. And well, it's starting with Ibora, the guy who gets told off for being too old. Well, the thing is that the guy suffered a ruptured cruciate ligament, and he played 40 games last season in the Segunda División for Levante, which is much better than the Greek Super League. It's much more competitive than the Greek Super League. He played 40 times, lots of experience in midfield. Just fine, at least for 2 seasons to go. As for Andre, I don't like him either. I don't like this idea because he was very disappointed at Valencia and Valladolid. He scored like 9 goals total in the last 3 years. He was a number 2. He wasn't a starter for either team, but then again, that says a lot. So as long as he's coming as an Ahmed Hassan kind of role, not as a starter, then maybe right there. But in terms of our other, in terms of Keeney, for example, this guy can play on both sides. He doesn't only play as a right back, he can play as a left back. He's going to be a number 2. He's not coming as a number 1. And he, at Granada, he offered a lot of solutions. He really helped as a backup. Then we've heard a lot of other players. We've heard of Darder, who is a very good player in midfield, but he's not coming. Maxi Gomez is a beast, Panos says, but it's a very difficult situation. The guy from Trabzonspor. Mark Bartra, stay away because he makes a lot of mistakes. I mean, I got to say something. I like how Cordon is handling this. It is taking long, but I like the fact that people are letting Cordon work. And no matter what happens this season, you don't touch Cordon. Stay the hell away from Cordon. We're building a project, and projects cannot be built in just one summer.
That's an excellent point. I don't think people are ready to hear that this is a 2-year project. People expect instant success, particularly in Greece, where the word patience is not doesn't exist in the dictionary. Doesn't exist in the dictionary. Doesn't exist at Olympiakos. So we need to be patient to see him work. Let him work. And you've told us, Costa, that he is reporting straight to the president.
No one else is above him. No one else.
So we won't name any names, but that means that a certain someone who is brought up on the show from time to time is not making the calls, or he's not as powerful as he was.
No one.
So guys, also, we had this conversation last summer. Again, why didn't we sign a technical director? We need to act like a modern club. We need to bring in a technical director and let them work.
May I say this? Sorry.
Footballing decisions. That's what we've done. So we've brought in one of the best that we could bring. Let him work. Just let him work, and let's see, and we can judge later.
Well, I interviewed Nikos Dabizas a couple of years ago, and we were talking about Newcastle bringing in a technical director, and he told me what a shame it was that Eddie Howe, the manager, was hired before Dan Ashworth was brought in, because it needs to be the other way around, and Olympiakos did that. You ask me, what do I prefer, a manager being signed as soon as possible, or do I want to get the right manager? The answer is somewhere in the middle. Diego Martinez is a good manager, and he is Cordon's choice. When was the last time we had a technical director and a manager at Olympiakos working in perfect unison? When was the last time?
I might to say Ilya Ivic and Takis Lemonis, like that season that we signed Galetti, Christian Ledesma within the space of 10 days. And then we put on, a Champions League run that took us to the last 16 against Chelsea.
The
But
finalists.
Yeah, and Ivic and Lemonis, I think they didn't actually like each other very much. But that was a season where it worked. Like the technical director brought in players that went into the team. Man, if I think that we signed Galetti for 2.5 million that summer, and we're talking about signing some guy called De Frutos for 7 million now from Segunda, like tears. But different market, different time. Let's not go there. But
I wanted to say something about not underestimate opponents, but I think it has to be on the opposite side. Like if you look at the squad of Olympiakos, sometimes I don't really understand. It's not underestimate, but you told about Maccabi Haifa. Maccabi Haifa just won the league, Israeli league. The team, the squad itself was already built. And if we are being objective and we put aside the deception we have had last season, the quality is more than enough to claim 2 wins against Servet. Like, if we're serious, pretty much every single player that is in Austria would be a starter for Servet, maybe except players like Androusos, the actual version of Bouchalakis, but even Pepe, Carvalho, and stuff would be started there. But the aim, the main topic is to be able to prepare physically the team, because qualifiers is a matter of physics, of fitness.
But that's why those signings are coming in now, to make sure we get past Servet.
It's like NBA signing, like 12 contracts.
The 10-day contract, if they could give contracts to players. I want to bring up this comment because this is close to what I said earlier about Iborra. His main asset is his body volume, like his size. Indeed, not technical. I haven't seen him play the amount of 35, 40-yard balls that Yanin Villa used to ping across the pitch. Forget that. But here's a question for you guys. Olympiakos in the modern era have almost always played with a playmaking number 6, haven't we? I mean, it's been Milivojevic, Samaris, Faisa, Guilherme, Mvila. Who's the last one that comes to mind that you Pablo Orbaiz, who some people are comparing this signing to Pablo Orbaiz? Who's the last 6 that you remember at the team that was just a no-nonsense kind of, I'm going to stand in front of the defense and anybody that comes near me? Like, we've had this conversation as well, that the team's soft, that we're a soft team. Like, we don't have who's the guy at PAOK I don't like that's gone to Ceres now? The manager. Pablo.
Who went where? Pablo Garcia.
Yeah. Did we ever have a Pablo Garcia type defensive midfielder?
I don't remember a single enforcer at Olympiakos in Olympiakos modern history.
I'm thinking about Delvin and Dinga. That's the one that comes to mind. Like before who else is there? Stoltidis was no nonsense.
Stoltidis was no nonsense, yeah.
He was good technically too. He was good.
He scored the goals.
Big and strong. Yeah.
He scored the big goals. The goals that mattered.
Like in the comments, guys, who's the last enforcer, like no nonsense defensive midfielder that played for the club before this signing? Marshall, have you got anyone that comes to mind?
Not like that. What is exactly enforcer? Like someone that is known for tackles and stuff?
Like a Gattuso type player.
Okay. Wow.
Pitbull, just like a Pitbull. We never. I can't. I'm struggling. I'm going to look at the comments as well, see if anyone's got something good. Magnatis.
The last Magnatis, yeah, people bring up Magnatis. But when it comes to like, tough players who would, cut cut both of your legs off if they had to, the one player that comes to mind is Anatolakis, who was a center back, no one else in terms of going for it.
Siopis. Some Dimos is saying Zelias.
Good answer.
Yes, Zelias, there you go, But Zelias cost us a lot because he would get red carded often.
Yeah, and a lot of people would say that he got the red cards because he was trying to cover his injuries. There is a great interview we did with Zelias on our channel. Incidentally, for those of you that haven't seen it, you can go to the playlists and go over to interviews. Go and check that out. That was a lot of fun. He's a really good guy, good friend of the show. Go and check out the interview with Zelias when you have your free time. Leave a like. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell too. More interviews will come down the line. We promise you that. Oh my God, there's more coming in. Milivojevic, yeah, he would make dirty tackles too, but he would get up in people's faces. Dachtidis, what is this? Elare Dachtidis, is that the best you got? Rubbish.
No.
Fetanos, like Cafu. Oh my God.
We're looking for a success.
Milivojevic has to be one comes close because he had the passion thing, like playing for the shirt, the fans. Like he knew exactly what it means to play for Olympiakos. And maybe Iborra, it won't be like that, but it looks like to be the kind of player every coach would have to coach. Like, we love to coach. I don't know.
But he's a professional, just like model professional player.
I mean, how many players that came last season could really say they have professional players? Not football players, but professional. I won't name the amount of players we signed last season, but will he create drama and stuff? I'm not sure.
Yeah. And Andrea Pirlo, the wine tester, is saying the players that we're looking to bring in, they have baladofaces. Trying to translate that into English. They have
they know ball. They know football.
Yeah,
they know football.
They have a football face, literally, but exactly, yeah. The meaning is they know football. So we missed you, he says. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you back on the show. What else have we got in the comments? Marshall, do you want to
add? I saw Romao, and I think it's a good comment too.
Romao, yeah. James 7 says, I want to believe that we bring the old guys now for the experience, for the coach probably to have his guys in the locker room and in August. Yeah, I think that's where we're all at with the transfer so far. And I know that a lot of you are also not keen about Marcos André.
And they're right. Like I said, Marcos André is the kind of player you would like as an alternate, and that's what he was at Valencia and Valladolid. To be fair, those were two quite problematic teams when he was there. But still, as a number two, in 3 years he only managed a total of 9 goals, not even 10 goals for both teams total. I mean, when El Arabi joined, we knew he was playing in the Middle East, but he was a killer at Granada and Caen. Was that the French team? He was a killer. You could see it that this is a guy who's going to come in and he's going to wreck it. Whereas Andre is the exact opposite. It doesn't. You look at his stats and you wonder, does he know where the net is? I'm not convinced about that. Not Andre.
It's an odd one because Valencia paid 8.5 million euro to lure this guy away from Valladolid. But also, guys, like Valencia is such a shit show. Such a shit show
Yes.
club. It's like a graveyard for players, it seems, the last, like, for as long as I can remember, the last 3-4 years. I mean, Cavani's gone to Valencia, however many years. Hasn't really. Who are Valencia? Are they even playing in Europe anymore?
They resigned the best youngsters they have had since a decade for Marcos Andre, which is Kangin Lee that went to PSG. Like, they have no sports politics because they went too far on the Mendes influence. I think it's impossible for a player to be good for Valencia. He had terrific numbers, to be honest. I agree with that. But
who?
Marcos Andre has terrific, like, shitty numbers. Not terrific good, but terrific bad numbers.
Horrific.
Yeah, horrific, sorry. But we all know that in Greece, you can click very quickly. Just a matter of confidence.
I remember when Miralas came to Greece, I think he had 1 or 2 goals for Saint Etienne in 30-something appearances. And it was the same. Yeah. I'm not drawing a comparison here, but again, so some small footage that I've seen of the guy, he's tall, he's fast, he looks faster than Bakambu. He presses up the field very well, is what the manager wants. You know, worst case scenario, he's Guerrero 2.0. And if he starts scoring again and he gets confidence, I'm honest with you guys. I haven't seen enough. I saw a little bit of footage because I was curious, but the main thing that I saw was pace, like pace.
He's 26.
And he's 26 years old, exactly. And if we get him, it looks like it will be a loan plus option, like loan plus obligation to buy. A player that was bought for 8.5 million, they're looking at bringing the option down to 3 million. So I don't know, whatever the manager wants, like, really. And then again, this one, if it goes through, I'm sure there will be another, we know the boss, the big boss at the club likes to make statement signings. If we're in a position to make statement signings towards the end of the transfer window, I'm not talking a James Rodriguez or whatever, or a Marcelo, but I'm sure they will be looking out for opportunities.
I think we're going to see quite a few unknowns coming in at a good age, towards August, because that's Cordon Zemo. That's what he did at Villarreal. He brought in future stars. He brought in future legends. He didn't bring in the big names. So I think we're going to. I think it's far likely we're going to see hidden gems at a good age coming in towards August, rather than a single big name. We're not going to see a big name. Iborra is probably the biggest name we're going to see coming in this summer.
Andy Delort fits the El Arabi status as Dimos. That's a player that can lead the attack. I know, Marshall, you know Andy Delort quite well, but he's off to Saudi, isn't he?
He's signed with a Qatari club.
Okay, he's gone to Qatar.
But also, let's not forget Alga Simba is coming back from the 123 African Cup, and he probably will be a solution for the attack very soon, I hope.
Let's see. Those guys are going to be they're going to be back in a couple of weeks, so they'll miss all of Austria, and I think they're going to team up with the rest. They'll get 10 days rest after the.
Is Machado a good answer to your question before?
Sorry?
Is Paulo Machado a good answer?
No.
All I remember of Paulo Machado is the mustache.
There you go. Great mustache.
The mustache and the front page in one of the newspapers in Greece, O Artistas. It's like one of the common headlines they use for anyone with a hint of technical ability that plays in midfield. They're all artists. Uh, Mano Suladagi says, "Hello guys. I believe Biel and Fortunis are going to be an amazing duo this year. I expect Cordon will make say wow at least 3 times this summer. Amen. Hope so." Andrea says Valencia is worse than us. Nolan Linda Fox says Andre was good in 2021. Tony Lato was another player
That's
that
when
we
he
were
joined
looking at.
Valencia.
2021. Okay. Another one here. Achilleas Beos. Didn't know that the mayor of Volos is
Volos.
following. But maybe Gate 7 International has helped to mend the ties between Olympiakos and the club of Volos. Anyway, I'll stop chatting shit. What else have we got? For the archive, Fanis X says Yanin Villa was the best clear defensive midfield the team ever had. Difficult to compare him to Guilherme, though, because the Brazilian was better balanced between attack and defense. I think to a point that's quite a nice statement, Marshall.
I agree with fans.
I agree with the statement but also, I mean, Guilherme, when he came, he wasn't 33, but he wasn't young either. So it has to show us the fact that young and good players won't come to Olympiacos with or without Cardone. Like they have plenty of choice to go to. If they have some potential, they will be expensive. They won't come to Greece, and unless Olympiakos establish himself in northern of Europe, in Africa, or in Eastern Europe, there isn't young players that will come to the club. I mean, it's impossible to attract them. The only players you could attract would be someone like Levi Garcia, for example, from Israel, or maybe Pineda, but it's expensive, and we don't give time to players like that. We don't give time to Engels. We did not give time to recall the last big signing we made. But even Beal, people wanting to sell him after one season. I mean, maybe Cordon will change that. Like players will have a second chance to show they can play for Olympiakos. And that's the change I'm expecting. Like the 2 years project have to start with players that comes back from loan or that were very good last season.
Well,
Yeah,
I know
maybe
that Cordon is looking at Spain. Obviously, he's looking at Argentina, and I heard he's looking in Russia and Ukraine as well in terms of the foreigners who can basically break their contracts. Let's see. I see what you're saying, Marcial, but I mean, Cordon's MO and what makes him such a good technical director is that he has a good eye for young hidden gems who are hidden gems for a reason. People haven't found them. People haven't seen how good they are, and they don't have a lot of suitors. And because they don't have a lot of suitors, they come with a good price, and then Cordon sells them for 5 times their price. And yeah, you're not wrong with Martinez. Maybe he's going to give a couple of second chances, like Carvalho. I'm hoping maybe there's something there for Ba and Cisse if they're not sold. Let's see.
No, but the thing is, we ask for young players to come for the club, but look at the young players that came. Like Leitner, he did not play. Markovic, he did not play. Chumic, he did not play. Vranjelovic was the only one that probably shined because he made insane qualifiers when he came. But
Hugo Kuipers.
yeah,
Yes, Cowpers.
The club does not know how to operate with players like that. We have the money,
But is
we have the fame to attract players like that, but we don't use them. So I mean,
but
Iborra is the logic of Olympiacos at the end of it.
But isn't Antonio Cordon's arrival doesn't just signal the arrival of a very good technical director, it also signals, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, probably a new era at Olympiakos. Like I said, guys, it's Vangelis Marinakis, Antonio Cordon, everyone else is beneath Cordon. So can't Cordon change that culture, especially if he gets his year? He's gonna get a year, I reckon, of full or at least moderate patience. If next season Olympiacos start kicking ass with the players Cordon has brought in, could that signal a new beginning at Olympiacos, a new culture?
I think it already has, Costa, in a sense that if Cordon wasn't there, like if the setup that we have now wasn't there today, we'd probably have signed 3-4 players before now. And that's what happened last season, right? It's like, oh, let's go and get Avila. Let's go and get Versalico. Let's go and get Abu Kamara. Let's go and get Denis Aligic. Where are all of those guys? Yeah, where are they? They're all gone.
Bowler too.
Yeah, I mean, Bowler and Wee Joe, they came later. They came towards the end of the window. So it already has changed. It already has changed. And so far, he's doing exactly what he said in the press conference. He said, we're going to bring some experienced players, but we want to bring the average age down and sign those players that are around 25, 26 with an ability to, resell them later on down the line. But, we'll see. But, Iborra, probably he wouldn't have come if Cordon wasn't there. Maybe we'd have signed, I don't know, name some crocked player that is a free agent that's over 34 that we could have signed.
Also, what will change is the fact that we won't sign Mamadou Kane's kind of players, like the guy that shines against us, and then suddenly we say, okay, he has to come to Olympiakos.
Like another one was Djurdjevic, the Serbian
Djurdjevic.
striker. Yeah.
There's only one Djurdjevic. Only one Djurdjevic. I knew he was going to fail because I knew it from the beginning. There can only be one, lads. There can only be one.
I mean, they spelt his name a little bit different. It was a Djurdjevic, not Djordjevic. But...
Djurdjevic.
Yeah, anyway.
I'm telling you, if we have a Giovanni coming in to play as a striker at Olympiakos someday, I know he's going to fail the moment he steps foot in Greece. He's going to be a failure. I mean, the thing he's going to have to get to follow up, the act he will have to follow up, he will be an absolute failure. I don't care how good he is. He's going to fail completely.
He'll end up working as a barman at Nalu.
He's going to end up at a mental asylum. If we bring a Giovanni to play as a striker, he'll end up in an asylum.
Oh my god! True story though. That Djurdjevic did actually do pretty well at Gijon when he moved there. Is he still there, or did they sell him?
No, but we did sell him for the money we paid for, like bank operation.
Anyway, people are, I think people are listening to the segment where we're talking about defensive midfielders. We forgot Garibere. Maybe we were talking more about modern eras. Like if we go back, for me,
Garibere is modern. We're not that old, man. We're not that old.
Yeah, that's my like. I was still at school when Garibere was playing. Like
Me too. We're not fucking old, man.
Yes, we are. We are old. There are 20-year-olds listening to us, man. I'm nearly 40.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
Everybody's bitching about Iborra being too old, and they've been miserable throughout the entire show, and now you made me miserable. Now I'm gonna go to bed thinking, oh, Iborra's too old. Oh, Kini's too old as well.
Sorry. I need to take this back. Stefanos Pantsopoulos says, I'm a barman at Nalu and I found your comment very offensive. Didn't mean any offense, Stefan. I actually like Nalu a lot. Every time I come to Athens, I visit it. Almost every time. I like to have my shisha there, drink my coffee. Nice place. Next time I come over and let's have a chat, and you can maybe let me get us and Srinaki. Or I'll do the same for you. Anyway, jokes aside, what have we got here? We're going to wrap this up soon, guys. It's getting late in wherever you guys are. There's a question about non-EU spots. There's a lot. I think I counted 8 or 9 players. Agibor deserves a chance, says Aris B.
I agree. I agree with Aris.
Ramon may go on loan.
He shouldn't. He really shouldn't. Because we have Oleg Ryabchuk. Leitner is injured. Ramon has to stay. Kini can play on both wings. But what if Rodinei also gets injured?
I mean, looking at that list there, Madi Camara for me he has to go.
He has to be sold specifically.
Madi Camara.
But if he's serious, he could be fucking great against Servette. What, we didn't like that? Dude, Madi Camara could be great against Servette if he's serious, if his mind is at the task ahead.
Exactly, but I don't think his head's in the right place. Oh man.
Also, Agibu is mentioned, but it's funny when I see people speaking about the age, because look how Agibu was criticized by the fan days. Like, he's the young players, and we have some time to show more. I don't know the word, like more patience towards players like that, because we can't ask for more young players, and when we have one, like for the first pro season he was doing, like we kind of buried the poor guy.
Good point. It was his first professional season really with us, breakout season, and then it all kind of went downhill. Too much pressure put on his shoulders. I also think he's a player that can play in Martinez's system. Ari and I talked about that when we were looking at the manager's philosophy.
Yeah. Great episode. Great episode.
Go back and check that out, guys. If you're curious about the new manager, his tactical approach, mindset, etc., we did a nice episode with Ari a few weeks back. You can go back and have a look at that if you haven't already. Zach V tuning out. Good night from Athens, guys. I've got my season ticket at Karaiskaki again this season. Good lads. And Gus Drax is tuning in. Hello, guys. Late tune in tonight. Thanks for joining, Gus. Gus Drax, big ups. The intro music we have on the show is thanks to this man here. So
amazing intro song. Absolutely incredible intro song. And Stefano Pansopoulos, thank you for the lovely comment. I'm going to come to Nalu. We can have that mojito.
Guys, I think let's wrap it up there. We're nearly an hour and a half in. Our last opportunity to hit that like button if you haven't done so already, and subscribe. Tell your friends about the show. Get more people to come in here, join the community. Hit the bell. Make sure you get all the latest updates. There are deep dives coming in, as we said. Tomorrow, 2 signings coming to Olympiakos, Vicente Iborra and Kini, defensive midfielder and right back. So Ari will have those deep dives up and ready the next few days. So again, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell. Make sure you don't miss that. Guys, anything else to add before we close up?
One last thing from me. I mean, I gotta say I'm confident about the future. Olympiakos laid down a strong foundation with Antonio Cordon. Started full marks with the way Olympiakos started with the arrival of Antonio Cordon. I didn't like that it took so long to bring the manager and Diego Martinez, because now the player signings are also coming late. So that was a problem for me. I'm not happy with the way this part has gone, but I gotta say I'm confident about the future. I don't know if Olympiakos are going to win anything this season. This sounds a lot like Pedro Martinez's debut season, where Olympiakos didn't win anything. And before anyone calls me a soft fan, know this, that the only team I support other than Olympiakos is Ethniki Elados, is the Greek national team. I have tried to become an Arsenal fan. It did not happen. Arsenal didn't win the Premier League last season, even though they came agonizingly close, and I could not care less. I slept like a baby. Only Olympiakos kept me up last season, and they did it a lot. And I'm telling you, I'm confident about where this is going. Be patient. Of course, not all of Cordon's signings are going to be a success. There are going to be a couple of flops. They always are. Be patient. Olympiakos are seriously building something right now. No matter what happens this season, do not stay the hell away from Cordon. No matter what happens this season, do not even think about touching Cordon.
Costa, if you became an Arsenal fan, I don't think you and I could be friends.
Yes, we would. Yes, we would. Our
Martial.
Tottenham, Michieso.
Got anything else, Marshall?
I would like to say we should stay optimistic, even if it's hard, because let's not forget the quality that is in the squad. And let's not forget the main reason we did not do anything last season is because the summer preparation was probably one of the worst ever. A team that is prepared can be very different from one year to another. All of those players that did not become shitty players like that. Like, they're not Kifisias players. They're not Kaliteas players. With all due respect to those teams, I mean, we just sometimes I look the squad on transfer market and I like, okay, I'm being pessimistic with a squad like that. Of course, Panathinaikos and Haik make good signings, but they will play Europe probably next season. They did not play Europe last season. And it will change things. Like, the only club in Greece that can play Europe and the league is Olympiakos.
Yes.
For me.
We'll see that down the line. You're right.
Yeah. So let's not forget we won at PAOK and we won against Panathinaikos to end the season. The confidence is here.
All right.
Well, and remember, we don't know anything about Servette. Labros told us they're easy. So if Olympiakos are eliminated, we're all gonna point at Labros and laugh.
I'm not sure about laughing, but we'll definitely have someone to blame. And someone
Remember, blame Labros, not us. He told us they're easy. We don't know. Blame Labros.
Can start a hashtag even, blame Labros. But hopefully it won't come to that, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We're Gate 7 International, your number one English source for all things Olympiakos, the red and white legends. We'll be back next Sunday for another live stream. But before that, again, guys, deep dives. The deep dives are coming. Hit the bell, subscribe now, and like before you go. Ade. See you.